For more on this, I'm joined by New York City Health Commissioner Dr. Ashwin Vasan. Doctor, there were nearly 2,700 drug overdose deaths in New York City in 2021. That's an increase of 78% since 2019. So how will this move by the FDA curb that number of deaths?
Well, thanks for having me, John. This is a big deal. You mentioned it. We had 2,700 deaths in 2021, a record high for New York City. A New Yorker is dying every 3 hours from a fatal overdose. And naloxone is a critical tool in the toolkit to try our best to bend that curve. It's simple, it's safe, it's effective, and it saved lives. Since 2015, New York City has had a standing order to distribute naloxone over the counter at over 1,300 pharmacies. And in the last year alone, we've distributed 200,000 naloxone kits. And while we may be seeing the numbers move in the wrong direction nationwide, this is a really important step. And I commend Commissioner Califf and the FDA for taking it to get this life-saving drug into the hands of people.
And naloxone and Narcan are essentially synonymous for the purposes of this discussion. Yes. And after
Correct.
answering that, tell us who should go out and get this once it becomes available.
Correct. Naloxone is the generic name for Narcan, which is the brand name. Everyone should get their hands on a naloxone kit. Overdoses can happen anywhere to anyone. In fact, in New York City, the number one age group we're seeing an increase in overdoses is 55 to the 84 age group, 55 to 84, not the traditional group you would expect to see an increase in overdoses. So everyone should have naloxone. It should be easy to get, as easy to get as nasal spray, as Ephrin or allergy spray, because that's how it's used. And there's very little low risk, very little side effects.
Literally every New Yorker you're thinking should get this. Is that an actual health measure, or is that to reduce the stigma of somebody getting it and people thinking, well, you're getting it because you're an opioid abuser?
It's a great question, John. I mean, I think the point is to make it as readily available as possible. Carrying it around with you costs people nothing, and you never know when you're going to encounter someone in need in the field, in the community, or a loved one you might not expect. And so every New Yorker, every person should have access to this. This is why the move of the FDA today was so important. It's really about getting this life-saving tool into the hands of Americans, and particularly in communities that haven't had a standing order like ours in New York City. Now this makes this easy to use. What the next big thing is for pharmacists to get involved and get excited about getting this out to people. The big chain pharmacies have been our partners from the beginning, but New York City is a city of neighborhoods, and we need neighborhood pharmacies, independent pharmacies, to get equally excited, because these are the trusted places where people can go and talk about using this medication.
And final question, doctor. The criticism often, and when this is brought up, is two things. One, that it will increase usage of opioids, increase the chance for abuse, and then also it will keep people from seeking treatment. What do you say to those?
Well, look, I mean, I think, there's always this kind of slippery slope thinking, but really our job in public health and our job as a community is to keep people alive and to save lives. And right now people are dying at an unexpected rate all throughout this country and here in New York City. And that's contributing to the steepest decline in life expectancy that we've seen in this country and in our city, in New York City, in over a century. It's the leading non-COVID cause of death in our city. And so we have to get an all hands on deck movement to just really destigmatize drug use, meet people where they are, and say, what can we do to help you stay alive and get you on that path to recovery?
New York Health Commissioner Dr. Ashwin Vasan, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks so much, John.